This deck cost $39 and got 20 out of 25 wins. He was placed 157 for top weekend ranked in Mythic, and this deck is only $39. So this is, in fact, the cheapest deck that I've seen that is this competitive in the weekend ranked in Mythic. So I'm going to go through the deck with you guys really quickly. It is a really high skill capped deck, so it's not just copy the deck code, go ahead and run into Mythic and win all your games. No, it's something you're going to have to actually practice hard at. You're going to see in the games here that there is so many mistakes to be made with this deck. So there is just a lot of fine tuning you're going to need to do to get used to it. But as you can see, the results speak for themselves. 20 out of 25 wins in Mythic. That is something that is really hard to do with a $39 deck. So basically, it's a structured deck. You have the Bronze Gate, you have Labyrinth Guard, you have Enchanted Chariot, which is actually a structure, and you're going to actually have the 2 Wall of Lightnings as well. And so all these structures can't hit face, but we're going to be able to deal damage with them through the Aggravated Architect, and that is what makes this deck pop off. So what the Aggravated Architect does is deal the strength of a structure as damage to an enemy creature. So basically, you can imagine if you pop this off turn 2, and then turn 3 you put the Bronze Gate down. Now you're ready to endlessly pop off 2 damage from the Bronze Gate onto an enemy creature. And normally this deals 1 damage to your structure, but because we have 1 armor on the Bronze Gate and we have armor on the Labyrinth Guard, then it actually ends up doing no damage to our structures. So this is a massive threat for 2 mana that the enemy has to deal with, and it even has a ward on it. So they can't just drop a Star Shard on it turn 2, because it'll just pop the ward. So a hard part of this game is dealing A, with early threats, and B, being your own threat by hitting face. Because you're dealing with structures, then you're going to have to figure out ways to get damage onto face, besides just, throwing in a random creature and just start smacking it like you do with a war deck. So your win conditions for this deck is going to be the Hellion Elite. You want to make sure that the opponent has use their spell removal before you drop this Hellion Elite on, so really keep track in your head of what they could have for spell removal and if they've used it already on your other creatures. A lot of the times they do need to use those for your structures, otherwise you're going to be just getting mad damage off with your Architect. So come turn 8, a lot of the times you can just drop that and it's game over. If they can't deal with it right away, then you have the Trial of False Reflections on there for the next turn, and now you can just endlessly start summoning these Hellion Elites. Okay, so your other win condition is that you have the Astric Implosion and you have 2 Epiphanies. That's 18 damage there, and if you can manage to have those in your hand and save them till the end of the game, then we have the Grimoire, which is going to reduce the mana of them. So if you can have all of their mana reduced by 1 3 times, that's going to bring them each to 3 mana, which means you could technically, in the perfect situation, have these all go off on when you have 9 mana available for 18 damage to face via spells. If not, then you can also use these for clearing the board and keeping control of the opponent's creatures. But it is a win condition, and many times you are going to end off winning with spells. Another really important part of this deck is managing to keep a card advantage over your opponent. So you're going to have the All-Seeing Spire, which is going to fill up your hand with cards if you can manage to keep it on the board. And you're also going to have the Diligent Architect. And when this one delves for structures, then there's actually some cards on there that you can get cards back, like the structure, the Hollow comes up a lot. And there's another nature card that basically also gives you card draw as well. So there's going to be 2 card draws that you can potentially get from the Delve, and you have 2 of these, so 2 chances for that. You also have the All-Seeing Spire, and of course the Diligent Architect just gives you a Delve card, so technically that is another card in hand. So basically a big part of this game is going to be making sure that you keep and build a card advantage over your opponent. You have many ways to deal with lots of creatures on board. You have the Shaped Blast times 2, which deals 5 damage to each creature with frontline, or 3 damage to each creature without frontline. And because a lot of your creatures have frontline, then you can throw that down and it won't deal damage to your creatures at all. And then you also have the 1 Inferno. And then, of course, you have your standard, your Star Shard bolts, your tracking bolts, Basically just things for control on the creatures. I'm going to show you 3 games, but if you want to take this deck seriously, you're going to have to go play a ton of games. But with that being said, let's get into the games. Okay, so you're going to want to take your Mage Bolt, of course. And now in the mulligan stage, we're going to go start searching for our cards. Bronze Gate is good, and now we got it. We got the Aggravated Architect and the Bronze Gate early on, which is exactly what we're looking for. We can also keep the Diligent Architect because basically that delves another structure, and we can then choose a structure that is on the proper mana curve that we want for the game. Okay, so turn 2, we can really try to go, especially when we're going second, we can go for like the Aggravated Architect early on. He might have a spell for it, but it's too early on for him to ping us and then drop a spell, because we do have the ward on there. So he shouldn't be able to remove this unless he has something like a Viking maybe. So having this Aggravated Architect on turn 2 allows us or that was actually turn 1, so turn 2 allows us to drop the Bronze Gate, and then we already are there with our combos. So we have the ability popping off from the Aggravated Architect, which really is what makes this deck work. So we go into this, use the ability, and then because we have the armor on the Bronze Gate, so this basically deals 1 damage to the structure that it's taking the strength from, but because the armor is there, it actually doesn't do any damage to it. Okay, and also now that we have a structure on board, which means we can use Defend the Ramparts here on this turn, so we can actually clear both of his creatures there. And we got a lucky draw there, which we actually don't need. But basically this thing just ends up getting this massive value here, as you can see. Just free damage. Now this was a really good start, but this is basically the start that you're looking for when you're playing this deck. So now we're wanting to look at getting this Diligent Architect off so that we can look for the structure that's going to fit us best. And this Delve feature is actually really awesome because it basically allows you to look for exactly the structure on the mana curve that you want. So the Hollow works really well, and this is something that comes up often in the Delve. And basically why that is because it gives you a lot of creatures that you can use to hit face, because you get that card draw. It's a really good card. So we can clear this. So this Hollow is now going to allow us to like get in the game in terms of let's see, in terms of cards, because we are kind of we're not at a card advantage right now. So I think I messed that up. I should have done it the other way around, because I'm pretty sure ability actually gives you favor if you kill with the ability. So I killed with the minion instead of the ability, so that, keep that in mind. Okay, so now we're gonna delve a structure. So we got to think about Mage doesn't really have many good options for board removal besides the Tornado. I guess they have some AoE that can work if you have a lot of spell boost, like this guy here. But I think the Tornado is a little bit high cost for 7 mana for only 5 damage. And the reason is because if you think about things like war, they have a lot better removal for a lot cheaper. Okay, so we can grab this guy here. And then we can put order on ourselves. 2 order. And then basically once this hollow is popping off, then you're going to be getting yourself like an extra card every turn. And this actually works really well with this deck because getting those guild creatures is really helpful for getting damage onto face, which is the one thing that this deck does struggle with, is getting damage onto face. So your turns take a long time with this deck. The games last a really long time. It's pretty, and you got to really pay attention to all your abilities. Don't forget to use them. Don't forget to use basically, like here we have 3 things with abilities. So if you're not used to using that, you really got to pay attention. So we're gonna deal 2 damage. Get order back on. Drop the Inferno. Just because he's not going to be filling up his board anyways, so we could just get rid of that card. And time is running low, so. Okay, so he's got a 10 drop there. We can do 6 damage. That's not ideal though right now for us. This one does 2. We got 2 here and 2 here. That's 6. And then we got 8, 9. But if we can get this off, the spell boost. And then we can do that was, yeah. I'm feeling the pressure with the time limit there. I did that out of order. And I did also forget to put this order on this guy. You got to be careful with the time with this deck a lot. Okay, alright, so let's get some time banked up again. Okay, and then we're going to start planning our turn this time in advance because we're going a bit slow and that's going to harm us. So I want to save the Asterisk Implosion for face. And also I don't, yeah, okay. So he's getting ready, it seems, for Tornado. Just keep that in mind because he wanted to clear everything. We can easily just do 2 damage here. And we can actually just drop the Guild Enforcer. If he does have a Tornado, then we'll survive with this. And I think we forgot to, we forgot to hollow. This deck is extremely, extremely. So in that game, there was a lot of mistakes, as you've seen, but I wanted to leave those in because I really want you to see that this is what makes this deck so high skill cap. There's a lot going on, and you learning this and cutting down on those mistakes as you play it is what's going to allow you to take this deck into Mythic. So yeah, it's hard to play. You can see how many mistakes have been made, but the potential is there for a really viable deck in Mythic. Okay, last game here. We're going to be going up against a death deck. So we're actually going to go fishing for the... So we have 2 structures and a diligent architect. I think we need to go fishing here. We really want the architect, and we got it. That is called lucky. So we are going to pop it off turn 1. That allows us to use our star shard if you put something down on the board this turn, and then be able to pop the bronze gate off the turn after that. Otherwise, it'll just be a slow turn 2, but that's fine as long as we can keep our architect on board. Okay, great. So that's why we have the star shard. So that was the whole idea behind the turn 1. And now next turn we'll get the bronze gate off. And we're not even going to bother putting the bronze gate down yet. We have turn since he has nothing on the board to grab something else. Now, do we take the catapults or the shrine? I think I'm going to take the shrine. Just to get some extra cards in our hand. We don't really have much going on here. And it would be nice to get some creatures that can do damage to face right now. Since we already have pretty good board control, then the creatures that we're going to get from the shrine is going to be really nice. Burn +3. We might as well just pop this now. Because the hog has confused, then that was worth doing. Yeah, we might be able to keep this on board for the second turn as well, which would be nice. Celestial Stag, awesome. That's actually perfect card for us right now. Okay, so we're still going to be able to get the bronze gate off. Hoping for a little bit of luck that it lands on the Nether Swarm Lord. It's a 50-50. Nice. Okay. Okay, perfect start. So now we've got pretty good control. We have lots of cards in our hand. Exactly how this deck is supposed to be played. So like I really do rely on things like picking up the shrine or the hollow card from delving the structures, and basically that does give a lot of the cards that I use to end up finishing the game off. So I find it really helpful at least. Okay, so might as well delve another structure here. You know what, I think I am going to go with the shrine. Alright, so we're transitioning into a nature deck, it seems. We got 2 shrines of Sotek. Clear that zombie. Alright, we need to clear that scepter somehow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can only grab one more card. Okay, so we got a lot of card draw. Now we're pretty much a nature deck at this point. Just a random nature deck. We got a stag. We got 2 Shrine of Soth. Yeah, we have like cards for days here. Just need some clearing, some board removal. Okay, might as well decrease the spell cost again. I think actually not a bad idea would to be just a little turn early for that combo. What do we do here? So I think for sure we're gonna attack face here, face here. I think we want the, no, don't want the porcupine. Let's go face one more time. Wow, that was a good card if we have the time. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. We want to make it, that whole point was there to get him basically confused. That this deck is so hard for timing. Okay. But now that everything's confused, we might be able to keep our porcupine on board there. But and our hand was also really filling up, so. But we're not worried if we lose our shrine because we do have another one, and same with our stag. We're good for cards. If anything, he's losing a lot of his sustain. I mean, also like that, the face health is just going down so far. And because all these are confused, then this is great for us. So hopefully we can get the Trial of the Hydra off next turn, buff that Porcupine, which we happen to pick up, buff the Starving Sabertooth, and that should finish it off for us. So it's 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 4 more. 4, that's 9. So bring him down to 4 health. It's not enough. We'll just pop that off. Do we need to? I think we need to clear the board here. The timing on this deck is so hard. There's just barely any time for it. These games will go really long too. Okay, that's great. Now we can actually throw the Trial of the Hydra down. And we can throw down our next shrine. And that's going to bring him extremely, extremely low. So hopefully next turn we can finish it off there. Wow, we got another shrine. That's insane. I think that's the third one this game. Way too many nature cards here. We're basically not even playing Mage anymore. Okay. Alright, that was an extremely weird game, but it just shows you what can happen with this. You can also see by how long I'm taking for each turn here, how high the skill cap is on this. There's like a million things going on at once. So basically, yeah, I guess that's why you probably don't see this deck in play super meta and everyone using it, even though it is viable, is because the skill cap is insanely hard. So you're gonna have to play this. I wouldn't start with this right on the weekend. You know, start if you're gonna play it this next coming weekend. I would start today and practice it from now all the way up until you can on Friday, and then before you start using it. All right, that's it for this deck. If you want a Mage deck that is also super cheap, actually under $30, and is a lot easier to play, you can check out my other Mage video here where I have a deck that I built that is a super budget deck that is still viable. I would say that this deck, though, is more viable the higher up the MMR range you go, but again, it is way harder to play. So if you want something easy to play, just go check that out, especially if you're a beginner and just want to climb fast. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.